I te tatahi no o ki te mana whenua, kei te mihi. You know, my background is my dad is Māori, he's from Ngāti Raukawa, Ngāti Tuarangatira, Te Atiawa, and also down south in Ngaitahu. And on my mum's side, I'm from English stock and Australian and also German.
He ni hoto te moni, he ni hoto te moni, he ni hoko koi, ni honu.
So when I applied for the residency, I was living in Berlin, and politically things had changed a lot in Germany at that time, and they've changed even more now. And I just had the feeling that maybe now is a good time to touch base with Aotearoa again and with my whānau and friends here. What drives me as a writer and as a person is to understand this whole concept of hybridity, what brings two, I guess, different creatures together, different energies together, and what happens when they merge. The cottage is a really interesting place to be from that perspective, because it's literally embedded in this mountain, and it also brings with it all of this coloniality and settler colonialism in particular, which is interesting to me from a political perspective, from a emotional perspective, and also from a very personal genealogical kind of perspective. My German ancestors, for example, landed on a ship called St. Pauli from Hamburg, and they brought their land from the New Zealand Company, and so of course when they arrived it didn't exist, and they only kind of survived by the grace of the local Maori families who were already there. The whole vibe here is, in the writing scene and at events and places where I performed, is so warm and informal, I have to say. And that is very different to most events in Germany. Germans are extremely conscientious and studious when it comes to consuming their arts. The manuscript of the book that I'm working on is another collection of poetry. It's called Exhaust World, which is the name of a garage in North Melbourne specialising in exhaust systems. But I walked past their sign and I just thought, oh, that's an amazing phrase. It describes what I feel about the last 4 or 5 years of my life especially. And also looking at globally, further afield, even just what's happening for this country, what's happening around the world. And increasingly as I get older, I can't ignore these things in my writing. Since being back here and since being exposed to the writers that I'm hearing and the music that I'm hearing, the speakers, the orators that I'm hearing, I think my work is becoming even more focused on that orality. So the power of repetition is coming through in my work. It's a feeling of place and a feeling of temporality. So this feeling that when I'm here, it's a little bit more easy for me to see back through the layers of time here than it is when I'm over in Europe. I'm just not as familiar with that place. It's been really good to live somewhere so close to town, I have to say, because that's where I came from in Berlin. I was in Kreuzberg, which is a really energetic, very populated suburb. I get to continue that vibe, that energy, which is good for me, to kind of be able to walk out of the house and be in the life of the city. I like to be around other people, but I also like to have somewhere to retreat, so the cottage has been amazing. Even the garden here is full of life, what the Germans might call the nature. You just walk 5 minutes and you're surrounded by this verdant Tāne Mahuta, really. This place seems to embrace slowing down a little bit, and it cares for you while you're doing that. Even though the residency is, relatively short, I guess. Well, it's not actually. 6 months is a good base of time. But it feels like in many ways longer because the whole vibe of this cottage is historic, I guess, and it travels you back in time, and it gives you that space. It has for me anyway. It's given me that space to be exactly the kind of writer that I am.